Today's episode is sponsored by Zoovu, AI search and product discovery for enterprise e-commerce. Visit them at zoovu.com.
Aerospace and defense manufacturing.
Machines and automation.
Additive manufacturing.
Smart manufacturing.
The global manufacturing economy.
Welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Now, the podcast for manufacturing professionals, powered by SME. From the design screen to the shop floor to final assembly, we drive the conversation about making manufacturing smarter by connecting people who are passionate about manufacturing.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Now, the podcast for manufacturing professionals. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get new episodes delivered to your feed each week. I'm David Muller, Senior Editor at SME Media, and I'll be your host today. Today we're joined by James Novak, CEO of Zoovu, a leading AI search and product discovery platform. James has more than 2 decades of enterprise software as a service experience, scaling companies globally and building AI-driven multi-product platforms, including as an executive leader at BlackBerry and the CEO of Fix. That's spelled F-I-I-X. Thanks for joining us today, James. We're glad to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. Happy to be here.
Maybe start by just giving a little bit more background on yourself and Zoovu, that maybe I didn't cover in the brief introduction. Can we start there?
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't I start with myself? First off, I think it's awesome that I'm here. We're going to talk a little bit about product discovery, AI, and some technology components. But my background at my last company was actually in manufacturing. Fix, as you mentioned, was a enterprise asset management maintenance software, and we were actually acquired by Rockwell Automation, and I spent about 18 to 24 months post-acquisition as a Rockwell employee. So I know the manufacturing space really, really well, even though I'm coming at this from maybe an e-commerce perspective now with Zoovu. So pretty unique background spanning kind of manufacturing and e-commerce. And so I thought it was awesome that we were able to get together today. Also, maybe a little bit about Zoovu, for those that don't know. We're an AI search and product discovery platform. And really what that is all about trying to find the right products as an organization that you're either buying or selling. And so we have a number of tools about how to make that happen for you.
Great. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because, as I doing some research on the company this week, ahead of our call or ahead of our show today, it didn't have like the obvious, at least not at first, like some of the just a different kind of company that you have versus some of the more nitty gritty manufacturing companies that we have on here. But then I did see some of the crossover, and maybe you can kind of help me understand it even a little bit further. So what would product discovery be when it comes to manufacturing?
Yeah, so why don't I start with just what is product discovery, and then we'll break it down for manufacturing. So what I mentioned, product discovery is really about finding the right products that match your needs as a customer. And, as a consumer, that might be like, I need to buy a new coffee machine, or I'm looking for a new bike, all those types of things. You search on Google, you read reviews, you might go on ChatGPT, you look at a company's website, and you try to discover like the right product for you. The same idea happens in manufacturing. You need a piece of equipment, or you're procuring parts, or you need to find the right products that are in combination with each other. But in B2B world, there's like two very stark differences than in the consumer world. The first is the journey for buyers and sellers looks different most of the time, and the stakes are much higher, right? Getting products that are compatible with the job or compatible with each other is not an optional thing. If you're buying a pair of shoes, you're like, well, these shoes probably can do the job, and these shoes could probably do the job. But when you're buying, I don't know, a transistor that needs to fit with a capacity of certain gallons per minute on a pump and all those types of things, they need to absolutely 100% be compatible with each other. There's no like probability of match. And oftentimes the stakes are a lot higher. Getting the right valves could mean the difference between like fulfilling a multi-million-dollar order on time or not. And so it's not like buying a $100 pair of shoes. And so the stakes are much higher in B2B. However, the fundamental premise is the same. I need to find the thing that I'm looking for.
Got it. Okay, that's very helpful. So yeah, like you said, I mean, you use transition, but I'm a shop 80 to 90% of the manufacturers in the US, for example, are small time shops, but they do quite a bit with quite a bit of different kinds of machinery and parts. But so if they're looking for something, your platform can help them find it quickly and make sure it's the right thing that they need. Is that kind of a simplified way of looking at it?
Think about it exactly like this. Like typically you go to a website and you're like, oh, I need to buy this part or I need to buy this component. You go to the search bar, you type in something and it's like no results found. How many times has that happened to, one of your listeners here today? Or the part that shows up, you're like, I know this is actually not going to fit. This is not the right one for me. Then you got to call somebody, you got to get them on the phone, or maybe they come to your facility and then they got to sit through, they got to scope it, they got to look through it. That whole process can take, days, weeks, and sometimes even months. That whole journey can be digitized so that we have all of the product information. We have AI to help understand the needs of the organization by simply asking a few great questions and then figuring out the compatibility between what the customer needs, what the organization has to sell, making sure that those fits. And so that really is like simplifying that journey for a lot of manufacturing organizations.
You're saving time essentially, and then also making sure that they're getting what they need.
Yeah, saving time. And then for the seller, it's really expensive. Just put a guy on a plane with a catalog to go figure out what a customer needs versus having it right there available for you on your website.
Excellent. And, the sales process for manufacturing has been, obviously, it's a sector that doesn't move, as as well as most, it's a sector that doesn't move very quickly. And the sales process has been the same for decades. Why would you say that it needs to change now?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. The first is that, it's not really a great experience for anyone. It can be confusing and frustrating for buyers. It's time consuming and expensive for the manufacturers. Most purchases still start with a human to human touch point. And the whole process can take like weeks to build an accurate quote, like the whole CPQ process, etc. The second reason is that buyer habits are changing rapidly, right? People are expecting to have the same experience in buying something professionally as they do in their personal lives, as easy as they would buy something on, for example, Amazon. They want the online experience, self-serve, personalized experience. So it's actually really strategic necessity for companies to be both operationally efficient and to match where the market's going. Combination of those two things makes the time now to kind of change this process.
And what's holding change back? What's preventing it? And how do we solve that?
Yeah, in a word, complexity, right? Like I said, when you're buying a pair of running shoes, it's not that complex. When you're buying, components in a manufacturing facility or in oil and gas or any kind of industrial setting, those are far more complex. The products are complex, the catalogs are complex, the sales process is complex, like everything is complex about that. Like being able to deliver the exact right products out of a catalog of 250,000 SKUs and millions of combinations is extremely difficult. Like even veteran salespeople have a really hard time navigating this complexity. And there's a complete lack of systems and processes built to handle this complexity for both the sellers and buyers. A big reason why that is because the product data that exists isn't really built for digital experiences. Like all of this exists somewhere, all the data exists somewhere, but it's not really built to be used. It's not being built to bypass this complexity. And so really great data for like PIMs and ERPs or other back office systems to have, but it's not really easy for somebody to like use that data to find the right product, especially not online. And that's really how we solve it. Like we design for discovery, we manage all of your data, and then we build great guided selling or configuration experiences on top of that for both the buyer and the seller.
Did you have to gather data for quite a while before launching this, or are you kind of gathering it in real time? How does that work?
Yeah, we're gathering it in real time. So as your inventory is updated, as parts change on your ERP or your PIM, for example, we're integrated with that in real time. So at no point do you need to like update multiple systems. It's one of the great parts of having kind of like a great technology integrated stack. We integrate directly with your ERP for most of this information.
Okay. And you mentioned AI, obviously it plays a role here. Can you kind of explain a little bit more how AI will play a role in this, in kind of the general evolution of changing the way manufacturers can go through the buying process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's really two big ways that AI is impacting the digitization of sales processes in manufacturing. The first is it really allows companies to design their product data in the right way. Like manually optimizing hundreds of thousands of SKUs is a nearly impossible task for anybody that's ever tried to do this. Like even just a single product category would take months or even years. But with AI, that can take hours or at most days. That means mapping like technical specs to use cases and creating accurate product relationships so that buyers can find exactly the right products for the job and have no doubt that the products they choose are compatible. All can be made possible because of AI cleaning and enriching all of your product data. That's number one. The second is in the actual product discovery experiences. So AI is becoming your best salesperson online. It asks questions, it finds out what buyers needs, it recommends the right products, it tells buyers why these are the best products for their use case. Now, a lot of AI talk is kind of vague and buzzword, absolutely everybody's talking it all over the place. But we actually don't deal with like concepts when it comes to AI. Like we really believe is like AI in action. So practical use cases of AI to help manufacturers and the buyers. A real example for us in AI and product discovery is our generative AI assistant that answers buyer questions, can cite specific sections of a manual with information, and then a link right to those sections. So we're not like hallucinating or guessing. We're feeding real information in real time, but dynamically in a conversation. It's consuming millions of pages of like information, pulling out the exact right answer instead of buyers having to like search through endless PDFs or product spec sheets or whatever to find the exact same information.
So, for example, I'm having an issue with like a 5-axis machine that I have it on my shop floor, and I think I know what part I need. And I'm interacting with Zoovu, and I'm kind of like, well, I'm not sure about this, but what about, I can ask the AI assistant, and the AI assistant will consult the manual of that machine and come back with answers. Is that a correct way of thinking of this?
You got it. That's just one use case of like having a conversational one. Or another good example is you're looking for a HIPAA compliant breathing ventilator, and in a manufacturing facility that happens to be in a medical field. Well, that's fantastic. Well, maybe there's like 3 or 4 different models depending on the country that you're in, whether you're in UK, Germany, or the US. And the AI asks you that. Well, which country are you in? Help me narrow down the choices for you. And they ask follow-on questions to help narrow down the choices, because sometimes you might not know exactly the right product you need. You need help finding the product you need. AI can also assist in that journey for you.
Excellent. Okay. And how does investing in product discovery and digitizing the sales process impact other areas of a manufacturer's business?
Yeah, the biggest impact comes from the data that you can get from buyer interactions, right? So your product discovery is centered around having conversations with buyers. These conversations collect hundreds of pieces of data, not only what products are being bought most frequently, but also what the buyer use cases are, personas, what features they value, what questions they have about the products, and so much more. So when you digitize these conversations, it significantly increases a manufacturer's capacity to have these interactions and collect all of this data. Because of that, like you have so much information that can shape everything from manufacturing schedules to product development strategy to marketing, positioning, sales. Here's a really good example that we have. There was like a really large company that I talked to that was using generative AI to like educate their customers about products. They were seeing that most of their questions were centered around 3 or 4 very specific features and capabilities. They use this information to build like marketing programs, optimize their content on their websites, and even then train the sales team. So product discovery is like looping back into all the other parts of the manufacturing process.
So this as part of what you do? I mean, it's not just a matter of helping manufacturers more efficiently run their operations in the sense of being equipped and things like that. You also can provide data on what their customers are buying.
Absolutely. What they're buying or what they're not buying, as the case may be. If they're asking questions or dropping out of sales processes or not really understanding what they need and decide, okay, I'm going to like go offline, or maybe I'll find another supplier for that part, those types of things. We can understand all of those things because they're all digital clicks that we understand and we can track anonymously and privately, but we can understand exactly how collections of groups of customers interact.
And then obviously your manufacturing customer would have a window into all that information and be able to make decisions accordingly.
You got it.
So kind of taking a step back then, obviously Industry 4.0 is here and we talk about it a lot. How does product discovery tie into this larger trend of Industry 4.0? And are the two things connected?
Industry 4.0 really, which is all for me, is really about integrating tech into manufacturing to improve efficiency, automation, and the overall customer experience being the key part of Industry 4.0 for me. So, product discovery plays the key role because it really helps manufacturers create seamless product experiences for their buyers. Traditional sales processes are rigid, transactional, and without Industry 4.0, like manufacturers are, leveraging real-time data and automation, and then AI, when they can be kind of evolved to transform the way customers find and engage the product. So like when we talk about Industry 4.0, it's not just about smarter machines on the factory floor. It's about a smarter, more intuitive experience for the organization and its buyers. It's really about connecting what's happening throughout the manufacturing process from the factory floor to the sales floor, and then obviously right into the buyer's mind. The combination of all those things is, I think, really an evolved way of thinking about Industry 4.0.
I kind of maybe take a step back a sec. How many years has Zoovu have you been operating now? Is it 1 year or is it just is it a couple of years? I mean,
no, gosh, no. Zoovu's been around for probably 12 dozen years or so now. We've been at this product discovery thing, and AI, even though it's been a buzzword in the last kind of year and a half or 2 years, has been part of our DNA. So like we've been using machine learning and artificial intelligence way before it was cool, before the launch of ChatGPT a year and a half ago. And so yeah, it's been built into our DNA over the past dozen years or so.
That's funny that you bring up ChatGPT, because obviously that's what myself and I'm sure many listeners think of when we start talking about generative AI and things like that. And it is about the time frame where it's like, you start seeing it used everywhere. It was like a year or 2 years ago. And so, yeah, I'm glad that we clearly, you obviously have 12 years is it seems ancient in the realm of AI at this point. But okay, excellent. So what kind of sectors have your manufacturing customers been in so far? Has it been concentrated in certain sectors or all over the place?
As you can imagine, product discovery is a problem across almost every sector in manufacturing. Like every organization in manufacturing has complex products, complex buying cycles. And so it's really a horizontal where we have kind of some of our largest, the deepest customer relationships are in discrete manufacturing, in all of the discrete manufacturing categories, from automotive, dental equipment, home building products, and everything in between.
Yeah. Obviously, it makes sense. It's not something that would apply to any one given sector or industry. Are you global at this point, and where are you based? I don't think where's the company based?
Yeah, so the company is based in Boston. I happen to be a Canadian based in Toronto, and the company was founded in Europe. So we are the definition of a global organization. About 50% of our revenue is in North America, and about 50% of our revenue is in Europe. We have a global presence. We have teams on both sides of the ocean, and customers spanning the globe.
Excellent. Okay, great. Well, anything else that you think that, we didn't cover that you'd want our listeners to know about what you're doing now, or about, how things are changing in general in this space?
Yeah, I just think, maybe to sum up the conversation, manufacturing sales processes have largely been unchanged for the last number of years. And maybe David, maybe this is a better way to answer the question. Let's do a customer example. We have a customer, very large Fortune 100 customer that does about $2 billion in online sales today, but their goal is to move that to $7 billion over the next 5 years. So they want to increase it by $5 billion. And the reason why they have not been able to increase their percent of revenue online is because their products are far too complex. Now, why? Why do they want to send it online? And the answer is that it's far less expensive than sending salespeople around on planes with catalogs, long sales processes. Customers don't like the process. It takes them a long time. invariably the CPQ, the price configure quote, had a wrong product in there, some product that's discontinued, have to go back and do the whole process again. And so rather than doing all of that, they would like to do it online, but the products are too complex. Our combination of our data platform with the ability to visually configure products with the right compatibility so that customers can configure and build the right assets for themselves, the right machine components for themselves, is really how this organization is going to go from 2 billion to 7 billion over the next number of years. And really, they're just taking category by category across every product line that they have, and then putting that category online so that it can be self-fulfilled online. Not only is that helping the customer, but it's also helping the sales organization. So now sales organizations now have a tool that they can use both internally when they're talking to customers, but also they can give to their customers, input in their customers' hands. The combination of fixing the customer journey and fixing the buyer journey at the same time by using technology is really what's transformative. And, like I said, we're seeing organizations, some of the largest in the world, drive upwards of $5 billion of online transactions on the back of kind of really great product discovery experiences from Zoovu.
Excellent. Well, James, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us for an interesting and insightful conversation. Now, if our listeners want to learn more about Zoovu, where should they go?
Absolutely. www.zoovu.com. That's ZOOVU.com.
Great. And to learn more about the latest manufacturing trends and to hear more podcasts, don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast feed, and to stay up to date about what's happening in manufacturing today and hear more podcasts, visit us at advancedmanufacturing.org.